book review for A Touch of Darkness by Scarlett St. Clair. I've actually read this series before, but I was too busy with the school year to honestly finish it and like retain all the details. So I've only ever actually read books 1 through 3. So yeah, we're gonna start that over. And I'm okay with that. I'm a book repeater. Are you an outfit repeater? Yeah. Anyways, just for a little bit of background, A Touch of Darkness is supposed to be a Hades and Persephone love story. And if you don't know who those, if those names don't sound familiar to you, they should. It's also okay if it's not very familiar to you. I'm also guilty of not having read the full Percy Jackson series. I'm sorry to Rick Riordan, and I'm sorry to the fans. And I'm sorry to myself because I want to watch the series, but I'm all about reading the books before the series, so I'm going to take my time with that one. Starting with this, Hades and Persephone. It's this ancient Greek mythology where Hades, god of the underworld, and Persephone, goddess of spring, fall in love. And they're not supposed to because, you have this light and dark conflict, and Persephone's mother, Demeter, goddess of the harvest, is just very protective of her daughter and is like, no man for you, no anyone for you, stay with me forever. Kind of Mother Gothel type vibes, but then also like if you think about Demeter's own relationships with the gods. But I'm not going to get into that. The point is, you don't need a huge background to understand this book. You can just hop into this blindly and still enjoy yourself. That's what I believe. So, we're going to get into it. What I like about this book so far is that it's giving like sunshine versus broody trope, but it's also like not too in my face. I'm honestly 10 pages in, and so far she's just an ambitious student. She's going into journalism and she has an internship ready for her soon. And, she's just trying to escape the claws of her mother, who is very protective, doesn't want her to associate with the gods because they're very involved in this new Athens, new Greece, modern day reality. The gods are just very respected, revered people who have, major claws into their economy, because Hades, who Persephone's just already interested in as a concept of an idea, he owns a bunch of nightclubs and bars and betting taverns or whatever. And her best friend, Persephone's best friend Lexa, who is this honestly real cool gal so far, got them tickets to one of his major clubs called Nevernight. And so they're gonna go tonight. And we're gonna see what happens. Maybe Persephone meets Hades. We're gonna see. Yeah, this has spoilers. One of the lines from Persephone's mother to Persephone, just so that you get a good feel about what the relationship is like. She says, "You are two things to gods," she told Persephone when she was very young, "a power play or a plaything. Surely you're wrong, mother. Gods love. There are several who are married." Demeter had laughed. "Gods marry for power, my flower." Yeah, my flower. My flower.
Flower, gleam and glow.
So, I also just remembered that this book has spice in it. I'm not gonna be on some chapter for chapter, word for word. I'm only gonna share the lines that I think matter, not in the spice within the whole book, but from this line alone, okay? The god of the dead represented everything she wasn't. Something dark and tempting. Tempting because he was a mystery, and mysteries were adventures. And that was what Persephone really craved. I'm scared this is going to be a long video because I'm still reporting even though I haven't made it to chapter 2 yet. I'm on just the last line. So when I told you that Demeter was really possessive of her daughter Persephone, I meant it because Demeter has a bunch of nymphs, animal spirits, water spirits. They're not goddesses, but they're nymphs, okay? She just has a bunch of spies working for her, and she just kind of set them out so then they can watch over Persephone while she lives her life outside of her mother's eyesight. And, they're not supposed to go to Nevernight. They're not supposed to go to the clubs. They're not supposed to get involved with the gods. And so, Persephone was at this coffee shop in the beginning. The waitress that had taken her order and stuff like that, Persephone recognized her as one of the nymphs. So she was on some hey, if you tell my mother, I'm gonna kill you. So I take it back about what I said about the whole sunshiny and grumpy trope. I don't know what trope this is. We're gonna figure that out. So I think something Delulu about me thought I could do a whole book review, chapters, and just express myself for each of those. That's not going to work. So we're going to hit the major plot points for what I've read so far. I've read up till chapter 5, okay? Listen, don't blame me, blame my phone data. All right, so far we've hit some major conflicts already. Okay, so, you know, Persephone and Lexa end up getting into Nevernight, that cool nightclub that Hades owns. Very intense, very fun, but also very serious. Like, we've got ogres as bouncers, okay? Very intense stuff. All right. They get into the club. Their drinks are paid for immediately by some guy named Adonis, which is kind of cool. He introduces them to a bunch of their friends, the most important one being a girl named Sybil, who's also like an oracle or a seer. And the thing about this reality is if you're an oracle, that means you get to work for the gods as a press manager. And we learn that Sybil's parents aren't really okay with that because they're part of like this group of people called the impious or impious, these people that reject the gods and like their whole hierarchy that they got going on in the world. And then we've got the other side called the faithful, people that accept the gods and are like, hey, like holla at your girl. Okay. Anyway, so then while they're at the club, they're having fun, whatever. Persephone ends up noticing this hot stranger, 6'1.5" tall stranger, black suit, hot, and she's feeling desire for the first time because she's been sheltered for the first 18 years of her life. Okay. And at one point she loses her friend Lexa in the washroom after some like bathroom break, as girls do. And she ends up following this one person or whatever to the lounge that's upstairs at the nightclub. She ended up meeting that stranger, that stranger from downstairs. And she invites herself to like this game of poker because if there's one thing, Persephone's not shy. She's not shy. Matter of fact, she has pride because she's also a goddess, right? Like, let's not forget that. And she invites herself to a game. They play a round of poker. If he wins a round, she has to answer one of his questions. Okay, vice versa. She loses all the rounds, eventually learns that he's Hades. She runs out of there. Next morning, she has to get ready for her internship. She can't stop. She's on a roll. The way that I'm on a roll, she's on a roll. And just before leaving for her internship, she realizes that she feels this like burning like sensation on her wrist. She sees a tattoo. And this is exactly where Hades at one point had grabbed her when she was like about to leave, like the poker room or whatever, but then she ended up staying anyways. They played their games, whatever. And so now she's thinking, listen, I gotta get rid of this mark because my mom can't see this. Then her mom literally materializes, like, in her room.
Ow! Jump scare!
Luckily, Persephone had covered her little tattoo, her tattoo of shame, with a bracelet. Her mom comes in, we learn a bit about that dynamic. Demeter, I want to call her a queen, but her obsession is very possessive on some Mother Gothel type stuff, where at one point Persephone's trying to reassure her mom on some, hey, like, there's no mortal divide between us, we're gonna be okay, you're the only person I'm close to, like, you're the closest person to me. And her mom actually goes, remember that. Remember that. Okay. Next thing we know, we also learned that Persephone like actually really relies on her mom so then she can stay in the mortal world and act as a human because her mom like lets Persephone borrow magic so then she can like hide herself. Okay? Because without hiding herself, without this glamour, bright green eyes, horns, she's a goddess, that's kind of crazy. She ends up going to her internship and we get introduced to this New Athens News, like this whole like journalist corporation. I don't know what it's called. I don't know what to call it. But yeah, this is where her internship is at. We learn that like, obviously Persephone has this like rebellious side to her. She doesn't want to live the life of a goddess. She doesn't want to like live under her mom's shadow. Like she doesn't have the powers that like she wishes that she had as a goddess. Not going to work out for her, but she wants to expose the truth. Because, there are things I want to say, but I don't have the data to say them. What we learned about Persephone earlier, just before they went into Nevernight, is that she doesn't want to meet Hades for two reasons. Number one, because she thinks that all the gods are hypocrites. So hypocrites, like, they have all this power that they flaunt, the fame, the fortune, everything, but they don't help out humanity with, like, their major problems or their major issues. She thinks that's sucky, and that Hades is part of that. Second, she doesn't want her glamour to be noticed by anyone. Okay. Fast forward to where we are right now. So after her, like, News Athens, like, her little internship, like, it's been a couple hours now, she goes to Nevernight. Broad daylight, square-based pyramid of a club. And, an ogre lets her in because the ogres act as bouncers. Very intense stuff. And, oh my god. I'm trying to, like, rush this, and I don't even have my notes. My commentary was amazing. It's not even funny. So an ogre opens up the door, whatever, and she starts name-calling him right off the bat because he won't let her in. She's like, hey, you idiot, let me in. He chokes her out. He then tries to choke her out. because of this, she drops her glamour. Like, she's like, yo, okay, all cards off the table. I'm a goddess. Let me in. Let me in. He does. He does. And then Hades ends up behind the ogre, invites her into the place on some, hey, yo, didn't realize you were a goddess. Interesting. Interesting. Come inside. Come inside. Leads her to his office, and there they strike a deal, because guess what? This tattoo that she has on her wrist, that's a bond. That's a contract she agreed to when she invited herself to play poker with him. And she lost. So now she has to, like, deal with whatever stakes that he deals. And his deal with her is, you have to create life in the underworld for within 6 months. And if you can do that, great. If you can't do that, you have to live in the underworld forever. And at first, Persephone's like, yo, my mom's not going to allow that. That's like, she's kind of obsessive, like, good luck to you, that's your problem. He says, I don't care. And that's because he's one of the big three. Hades, Poseidon, Zeus. He's one of the big three. Like, what's Demeter going to do is basically his mindset, which I'm like, okay. And then, you know, just before she leaves, he offers her a driver. Okay, he, like, to take her back from Nevernight back to her place or campus or wherever she needs to go. Gives her a kiss on the forehead so then she has all access to this club. Okay, and she starts working for him the next day. So crazy succession of 3 days, crazy sort of events. Yeah. Like, the plot is rushed. The plot is rushed, which is why I have a lot to say. Not rushed in a bad way, rushed in a good way. But there's too much for me to say about this in such a small amount of time. I hope we've caught up, and I hope I'm not talking too fast or confusing my plot line. I don't think so, because I've repeated this so many times. Anyways, so yeah, we've got a lot of conflicts already arising. Persephone and her mother. Her mother and, like, her view on the gods that she just does not like, despite, like, being a goddess herself, and then also hating mortals, even though, like, they praise her. Like, what can I say? And then we've got Persephone's rebellious attitude, and honestly, there's tension between Hades and Persephone. I'll be honest, I'll cop to it. Like, I'll cop to it. The writing itself, it's good. You know, I get a good visual. I like it. You know, the dialogue's working. I'm here for it. Okay, I guess that's up till chapter 5. Let's see how much I read between now and the rest of the week, I guess. I don't know.